Hello YouTube, basically I'm just doing a quick video to show you how to solder Hobby King bullets. I'm no professional or anything, but I do have a history of making harnesses for LiPo batteries for e-bike applications, so I do know a thing or two about assembling bullets and making harnesses and stuff. My friend David has released a video showing you how to properly solder bullets with a 70-watt soldering iron. I normally assemble my stuff with a butane torch, so that's the method that I'll be showing you how to do today. I have a few things here. I have a vise to hold what you're soldering. He has helping hands, which is basically like two little alligator clips that holds whatever you're soldering. Those are perfectly fine. I just happen to have a vise that one of the members donated to me like a year or so ago, and it's been serving me well. I have flux. This is rosin flux, makes soldering easier. Of course, I have 4mm bullet housing and 2 of the contacts. Then I have 2 pieces of wire. One is 10 gauge, one is 12 gauge. I'll show you why I have 2 pieces later. Cigarette lighter to light my butane torch. Then there's the butane torch. This is a butane pin torch. It's a Burns-O-Matic. They run about $15 for a nice little soldering kit. At Home Depot, you'll get like all types of stuff. I'm not sure you can see it, but it'll have different tips, a sponge, a little roll of starter in there. Of course, you always need, a good pair of wire strippers. Then I use electrical rosin core solder. It's lead free. It has a higher melt temp, but supposedly makes a better electrical connection. Whenever you're using the lower powered soldering irons like 25, 30, 45 watt, even the 70 watt, it's a lot easier to solder when you use leaded solder because it melts at a lower temperature. But since we are dealing with electronics, this is a silver bearing solder. It makes a better connection. Either one is fine, but I use this just to make sure I have a high quality, high conductive connection. So we're just going to basically start by doing one thing is of course putting this in the vise. So basically put this there. Alright, David normally put some flux in there. You can do that, but I have rosin core soldering, rosin core solder, so it pretty much fluxes the connection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this contact up like about 3/4 of the way full, because of course when you put the wire in there, it's going to displace some of the solder and some of it's going to wick up. So you don't want to fill it all the way to the top. You just kind of fill it 3/4 of the way and let it cool. So I'm gonna just go ahead and light my pen torch. Just heating the connector up first, and then I just stick the solder in there. It'll slowly start melting. A few. Alright. Got it melting a little bit. Alright, this is about where I want it. When you have a good solder tool going, it has like a mirror finish. If you're having like a dull pool of solder, that means more likely you're going to have a cold solder joint and you're going to have problems getting the wire in there. I have 2 pieces of wire here. Like I said, one was 12 gauge and the other was 10 gauge. I normally get my wire from EP Buddy. EP Buddy 12 gauge can fit through the housings fine. I'm going to demonstrate that. Alright, so we have it sliding through the housing quite fine. The 10 gauge However, you can stick it in the housing, but it doesn't go all the way through. The insulation prevents it from going all the way through. Now, Hobby King does have a 10 gauge. Their 10 gauge has a slightly thinner wall, thinner insulation wall, which allows the contact to slide through. That's one of the downsides of using my EP Buddy wire, but you know, 12 gauge should be fine for most applications, especially if you're paralleling it to a larger wire. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and use the 12 gauge for this example. Normally, when you solder the bullets, you have to stick the housing on first and get it through, and then you'll strip off the amount that you're gonna need to solder it to the contact. Then I apply flux, and I just normally just kind of dab it in my paste here, and I get a little bit. Some of it may be drooping off, but I'll fix that in a second. Then I get my pen torch back up and going again. Alright, so I got the pen torch going, and then I'm just lightly melt that into the wire a little bit. Alright, so now the wire is fluxed. It's not 10, but it is fluxed. So, alright, and then normally what I do is I will reheat this solder pool back up in the connection. So I'm just trying to get a better hold of the wire. Get the solder pool back up. Slowly insert it into the pool, let it kind of wick in a little bit to the wire. Might flame up just a little bit, and then just let the solder harden, and now you have a pretty good connection. I'm able to pick up the whole vise, move it around, swing it around. That wire is not leaving. All right, so now we have that connection soldered. There is nothing coming out the hole on the side. It's a perfect solder connection in my opinion. Alright, now it's time to insert the contact into the housing. In this case, this is a male housing, and so this is a male contact, so I need to insert. Make sure the contact is in the male housing. Alright, this is the male housing. Normally it's the smaller one. Alright, I'll pull back on it, get it seated kind of partially into the housing. I do the same thing as David. Take the mating connector, push it in, find a hard surface to push down on. It's kind of hard to push them in, but alright, it's pushed in, and you'll hear a snap. When you push it in, then you can pull the other contact out, and then you have a perfectly soldered and seated bullet connection. So that's how you solder a bullet connection to the Hobby King 4mm bullets. Alright, thanks for watching.